Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second session on Tinkercad and the Microbit. Okay, so to
Hello.
reiterate, what we did last time was we looked at building out the first section of our Tinkercad golf course. And if I'm just going to jump into my piece, and all of you can jump into yours as well while you're waiting for me to get mine. We had hooked up, we created just this base piece right here. We had put joist boards below it. So we had put the joist boards below it. We had put boards on the side around it. And then finally, we had done this piece right here, which was just the hole at the
Okay.
very end. And yeah, that was kind of where we had got to in our design. So we have like our basic design here. What we want to do is we want to bring this into the simulation lab. So before we do that, what I want you to do is if you left click, and I think we talked about this very briefly last time, if you left click and drag around your design, like this red dotted box, we will highlight all of the pieces in your design. I'll do that one more time. So left click on your mouse, drag and pull. And then right here, what it'll do is it will highlight all of the pieces. So there's 8 pieces right there. You can see highlighted. And then all I want you to do is click on this group button. It's right here. And that will stick and push all of our pieces together so it's one piece like that. So if you want to ungroup it, if you want to go back and make changes, you can click on this again, and that will undo it. And you can see now you have all your individual pieces pulled out of your design. So make sure that it's grouped because grouping it is going to be a lot easier for us to work with. So I'm just going to group it and I'm going to stick it together like that. And well, that it'll turn one color. If you don't like the one color, if you're like, beige is not for me, I want my original colors that I designed it with, you can click on the beige circle right here where the color is, and you can click on multicolor right here, and that will go back to the original colors that you designed with. Next thing to kind of talk about and work on while we've got our basic design here ready to go, we need something to roll on and angle our ball into our design for our laboratory. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click this little tiny arrow on the side right here, and I'm going to bring out a box. And this is nothing new. We've all done this before many times. I'm just going to click this. I'm going to open this up. I always make sure I have lots of room. So I always click on the arrow here and make sure I have maximum amount of screen space. There's no sense in working with like screen space taken up. Always make sure you have maximum screen space to work. I'm going to take my little box right here and I'm going to hit F on my keyboard. I'm going to zoom into it. Remember, you can also click below the house. There's this little weird kind of square. You can also click that and that will zoom into the design. Focus, right? We talked a little bit about focus last time. I'm going to click on my height. If you remember, the height is this little white square on the top up here. Not these 4 on the bottom. These will change your dimensions. So I'm going to height, and I'm going to make this, let's go 2. So I'm going to type in 2, and that's going to squish it down. Now, if you don't want to type it in, you can go like old school style, and you can click it, and you can pull it down. You pull it all the way down till it gets to 2. So you can do it either way. You can type in 2, or you can pull it down. Doesn't matter to me which way you do it, as long as you squish down your design to 2 mils high. Once you've got it 2 mils high, let's make it a little bit narrower. I don't like how wide this is. So let's grab the black square, which is right here, and let's pull our design in. So bring it in, and let's bring it into, I'm going to bring mine into 13. You can see my width is now 13. My length is 20. So I've got 2, 13, and 20. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this out. So I'm going to bust my design out this way a bit more. I'm going to put my length at, I don't know, let's go 38. Okay. So those numbers, 13, 38, and 2, I'll type those into the chat for you. 13, 38, and 2. I'll just type those in the chat. So if you forget and don't know what the numbers are, they're right there for you. Okay. So you should have a board that looks something like mine. I'm going to change my color of my board to a blue because I don't know. I want to have my ramp a different color than everything else in my design. So once I've got my board ready to go, I'm going to copy my board and I'm going to flip it so I have like a channel. I'm going to start calling this thing a a chute, because that's what it's going to be. It's going to shoot. It's going to be a chute that the ball runs down. So take the board right here, duplicate it, click on the duplicate button next to the trash can, and pull out a copy. So you can see I have my first board, and now I have my second board right here. So board number 1, board number 2. If you remember, you can click on the copy button here, or if you're feeling fancy, if you have a keyboard, you can hold down Alt, A-L-T on the keyboard, and you can pull out to make a copy. It just depends on how you want to do it. There's always 2 ways to do things. So what I'm going to do now is once I have my board number 1 and board number 2, I'm going to take my board number 2 and I'm going to rotate it. So you can see, I'm going to move this way a bit. I have rotation this way, I have rotation this way, and finally I have rotation this way. And you want the rotation on the end of the board, this rotation right here. Click and grab 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 rotations, and that's going to bring your board minus 90 degrees. Or if you want to go the other way, you can go positive 90 degrees. It doesn't matter to me which way you go, as long as you get your board 90 degrees. So this board is flat and this board is straight up and down. That's kind of what we're looking at right now. Okay, once you have your board flat and this board kind of sideways like that, this board that's sitting right here, I want you to hit D on your keyboard, and D, if you recall, drops it. It sticks it to the bottom. Now, if you don't have D on your keyboard, you can always grab the black arrow and you can pull it up, and you can pull the board up to the right height right here, which is just below the design. Then what I like to do is I'm going to use my arrow keys and I'm going to move my chute. I guess that's my chute, or the walls on my chute. I'm going to move the walls of my chute to my board. So it's just going to kind of sit on the side like that. So I've got this like wall. Okay, I'm just going to zoom in a bit. And I'm going to lower my wall. Now, if you recall, the height of this is 13. I'm going to pull it down. I'm going to make it like, I don't know, 7? Let's go 7. Yeah, 7's good. 7's not too low. 7's not too high. 7's like about right. So once I've got my bottom board, I've got my sideboard, which is 7 high. I'm going to take my sideboard and I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to make another copy and I'm going to bring it out, and I'm just going to put the other copy right here. So I've got a chute. Okay, so while we're setting this chute up, I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to group it. And so I have my chute ready to go. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take our chute, this part right here, and we're going to bring a ball into it. So a sphere, actually. So open up your side menu, grab a sphere, and place the sphere on top of the chute. Now this looks a bit weird. You don't want to put the sphere on the grid. Make sure it goes onto the chute so it's sitting on it like this. See how it's kind of sitting on it like that? You want it sitting on the chute just to make what we have to do next a little bit easier. So once you have, I'll do it one more time just to like reiterate. So grab it and just like, it should just sit like that and then release. Once you've got it, we have to size our ball appropriately. So I'm going to click it. Now I can't remember with the other group how big I made it. I think 2.5 by 2.5 by 2.5. Like that. Now it's going to get lost. You can see it's like stuck in the corner here. So I'm just going to bring it out using my arrow keys, and I'm going to bring it back here. Now, if you don't have a keyboard to do that, and I'll back up and just to show you without a keyboard. If you don't have a keyboard, you can hover over the top, hold down Shift, and push down. And you can just push, and Shift will size it proportionally and go down to like, I don't know, go down to like 2. 2's okay. 2's fine. So there's like I said, there's 2 ways to do that, and always hit F. F is an awesome way to focus on it and get it so it's like sitting and just kind of in the center of our chute. What I would do actually is bring it up a tiny bit, like snap it up. So it's just a tiny bit off the ground. You don't want it sitting like right on top of it. Grab this little arrow and bring it just a little bit off the ground like that. And then you should have like your basic chute and ball ready to go. I'm going to bring it back a bit. Actually, I keep on not focusing and not knowing where I am. Okay, I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to kind of have it sit on the back of my chute. Okay. All right. So once you have your chute and your ball sitting there ready to go, you want to highlight both of them. So grab both of them like that. So like grab around both of the ball and the chute, bring it up and push it over your design. So it's kind of sitting over top of your design over here like that. Always hit F or hit this little thing right here. And that will bring you, you kind of want it like sitting almost on top of your workspace like that. So just kind of sitting on the edge of your, on the edge of the thing you're going to build. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to move mine over to the right spot. I am going to angle it just down a bit like that. And yeah, we should be good to go. So the cool thing about this now is this is actually new in Tinkercad. It is a simulation lab. So if you look on the top right corner, there's an apple falling from, looks like it's falling from a tree, and it says Sim Lab on it. So all you want to do is come up to the Sim Lab, click it once, and it will like stop, and it'll go, these things will like shrink and grow. Now this area here is the simulation lab. So you can simulate gravity, you can simulate materials, and you can simulate, well, you can simulate different properties on different materials, and you can also simulate different, you can simulate axles, you can simulate sliders, and you can simulate pivot connectors. We're not going to worry about these three right now, but they're pretty powerful and you can do a lot of cool stuff. So pay close attention to how this part works here because it can be a little confusing. So I want you to click on your main bottom, which is the mini golf bottom. And if you look over on the right-hand side, there's a little arrow up here. And if you push the arrow down, there's some information here about what's happening. The first piece of information that is the most important is that there is a ball rolling down a hill right now. Now, we do not want the ball rolling down the hill because this ball rolling down the hill indicates that gravity will affect this piece. We do not want gravity to affect it. So we click on this, and if you click it, it turns into a ball with 4 arrows pointing outwards around it. And that indicates that this piece is now what is called static. And static means it doesn't move. So gravity doesn't affect it. You can also change the material. If you click on the material, I'm going to change mine to hardwood. I kind of like that. It actually has grain in it, I guess, how Tinkercad sees grain. So you can change it to a different material. And this material actually has properties in it. So if you look, it has a friction property, a restitution property, a density property. We're not going to worry too much about these, but be aware that different materials react differently with each other. Now, second thing, click on your chute, which is this part right here. And I want you to make sure that that is not a ball rolling down the hill. You have to click that and make that static as well. That has to be static. So to reiterate, your bottom part has to be static and your chute has to be static. Now, as you've maybe guessed, the part that is not static is the ball. The ball right here is dynamic, and it has to be like a ball rolling down the hill, which makes sense, right? We want gravity to affect the ball. Now the ball, you can change it into a different material. I like to make mine out of ice, so it goes super fast because that obviously ice on wood. Let's make this. I'm gonna make this one wood too. Let's see here. I'm gonna make it softwood. Ice on wood is gonna move pretty quick. So you can make it out of rubber, you can make it out of concrete. It is a sphere, so it will move quickly anyway. But just to remind you one more time, anything you don't want to move, you have to have it as this static. So static, static. This one is dynamic, which is the ball rolling down the hill. Okay, once you've got that all set up, you're just about ready to roll. So get yourself in a position that you can see your entire piece. And in the bottom left corner, I don't know if you noticed it, but there's a small play button. If you click the play button, it will, whoa, that was like really fast. I got like a hole in one like really quickly. I usually don't get them that quick. So if you click the play button, it runs the simulation. So it runs gravity. Now, you'll notice that it keeps running. It doesn't stop. So to reset it, you click on the reset button and it resets everything back to the way it was. So you can click play, it goes, and then you can click reset. Sorry, I'll come down here again. Click reset and it will reset your piece back to where it was. Now that's great. I mean, did you all get a hole in one right away too? I think we tried to make the hole pretty big. I don't always get a hole in one, but I think I positioned mine so mine's pretty much lined up, ready to go. I did. Now what you can do is you can highlight this. Like, make sure you highlight both pieces. Don't just grab the chute, because if you move the chute, your ball gets left behind, which is unfortunate. We want to highlight both pieces, and you can move your chute around. Not only can you move your chute around, but you can raise the chute up. You can change the angle that the chute, well, this is not even going to go the right way. You can change the angle that the chute is at, which would affect the speed of the ball, right? Yeah, I think it's just angle and movement we can affect. So be aware, if you don't get a hole in one, you can always move your chute to a different spot. I mean, you can move it anywhere you want inside of the space right here. So this is a really cool thing that Tinkercad has added on, and that adds a lot of functionality to the, well, it basically adds a whole simulation portion into Tinkercad. This is pretty straightforward, like just setting it up like this. But what happens if we want to maybe ramp it up a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting? So what you can do is you can come back into your Tinkercad. So if you click on the waffle on the top, let's call it a waffle, the squares, it'll take you back into your regular Tinkercad workspace. So what we want to do now is essentially we want to lengthen our our mini golf table here. It's too short right now to do anything with it. We want to add some obstacles in it. So what I want you to do is I want you to click your Tinkercad base table. I want you to ungroup it. Remember, the ungroup is the circle and the square up on the top. So if you click that, this is now separate pieces. So you might have to ungroup it twice. I'm going to ungroup mine twice. And if we ungroup it twice, your cylinder, the one you use to cut the hole, will appear. And what you want to do here, and I'll do mine first, is you want to click on your end board and pull your end board like down here. Click on the green piece on the bottom. Mine's green. I don't know what color yours is. And then extend it. Grab the black square. Extend it down here. And this part's a little trickier, but I'll try and do it slowly. Click on your boards. Grab the black square on the boards. I know they're really hard to see. Don't grab the white squares. Grab the black square. It's a bit hard to get it sometimes. Grab the black square and pull that down to the end. Okay, and I'm going to go flip over, and I'm going to do that on the other side. So I'm going to grab the board, and I'm going to grab the black square, and it's hard to get, and then pull it down to the end. I think I actually got it. Okay, so what we're going to design now is a obstacle. Hold on one sec. I've got to put mine at the end here. So I've got to redo my hole, and I'm just going to highlight my pieces here. And I'm going to group it, and there we go. There's my hole. All right, so now the center part right here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna design a wedge. We haven't used wedges yet. So under text, there's if you come over to your side area right here, down here, there is, next to text, there's something called a wedge. So grab the wedge and just put it on your workspace. Make sure you put it on top of your design here. And then what I want you to do with the wedge, you'll see the wedge has 1, 2, 3 rotators. You want to grab the rotator that's on the ground, not the one in the air. Those are not good for us. The one on the ground. Grab it and pull and rotate your wedge so the angle of the wedge is sitting facing your chute like this. Okay, so I'll do that one more time. I think it was this. Which way was it? This way? Yeah, it was that way. So grab the rotator and rotate it towards. Remember, if you go outside the circle, it's going to rotate in 1 degree increments. Make sure you rotate inside the circle for 22.5 degree increments. All right, once you've got that, we're going to lengthen it. So move it a little closer, like move it, don't put it like right on the chute, but move it closer to the chute. And grab the black square and lengthen it. So it's like, I don't know, like let's say about there. And what length is mine? Mine's 34. Yours doesn't have to be 34, but 34 is the number I arbitrarily chose there. And then once you've got that lengthened out, I want you to grab the white square, the height square, and I want you to pull it down. So it's about, I'm going to put mine at 8 to start. So the height is 8. And I'm going to type those two numbers in. So that's 34 and 8. You don't have to use my numbers. So 34 length, I'll type these in for you. And 8 height is my design. You don't have to copy my design if you don't want to. Okay, once you've got that, then come back here again. Actually, you know what we'll do? Let's do something, I haven't done this before, but duplicate this. So make a copy, pull it out, so you have two of them, and flip this one around this way. So just make a copy and flip this one so it's the other direction. We're gonna see if we can make like a little jump across it. I don't know if this is gonna work or not. I haven't actually done this yet. So let's see if this actually is gonna work. All right, so give me a second. Once I've got that done, I am going to click on my apple. And you have to remember, once you change anything inside of your regular workspace, you have to redo it inside of the sim lab. So you got to click on the pieces. You have to make sure that they're static again. So I have to make sure my bottom piece is static. I have to make sure my jump is static and make sure my other jump is static. So let me just, I'm going to double check all this. Static, 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 static. Yes, everything's static except for my ball. All right, so I'm going to bring this up. I'm going to make these wood again because these are not wood. Actually, yeah, no, I'm going to make them wood. Make everything wood. Go wood, wood, and wood. All hardwood. It's kind of cool looking. All right, I'm going to click play. So it's going to come down, jump. Ooh, okay. That did not work for me. All right, so that did not work for me at all. I got lucky the first time. This one did not work for me at all. So what I'm going to do is, I think to change this, I am going to steepen my chute. So I'm going to grab my chute. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to steepen it a bit. And I don't know if that's going to be enough to give me the speed I want, but I'm going to try. So let's try that again. Yes. Oh, that was awesome. I got lucky though. All right, I'm gonna try that again. Let's see if it was just luck the first time. So it goes down, goes over, and makes it. Actually, I think it went so fast. I have more room between these two pieces right here. So let's reset that. I'm gonna grab this, and I think I can back out my space in between my two pieces to like here. So let's try that again. I'm gonna back out, click play. No, I got a little. Oh, by the way, you can throw things. I forgot this. If you click, it chucks in like I don't even know what they are. Just chucks in pieces. A second kind of thought here is with with this design we have so far. This is quite this one's quite basic. So what we can do, we can start to think about. Okay, well, this is a pretty simple like little jump right here. What about if we were to create something that would loop back on itself, like do like a 180 and would come back this way? So again, the same process that you went through before. Click on your design, ungroup it. So make sure that all the pieces are ungrouped and you have everything ungrouped. And then this time, rather than extending it to the forward, extend it to the left. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm just making it bigger, but in a different direction. I'm kind of changing the direction that I am increasing the size on my design. Let me zoom in here, come back this way. Okay, so there we go. I'm gonna come out and always, as always, I think I am going to change where my hole is. So your hole does not have to stay in the same place, right? You can always alter where it is. So what I'm going to do is I am going to bring my hole and I am going to put it back over this way. And I know it looks pretty weird right now. It doesn't look like this is going to work, but it'll make sense in a bit here. So let's just bring this out. I'm going to highlight my pieces. I think to make this easier on myself, I am going to change my jump here. So my jump that I created, I'm going to delete one of my jumps and I'm going to create like almost like a U that's going to come back this way. The ball's going to roll up here and it's going to come around and go down in this direction. So let's see how we're going to do that. I'm going to highlight everything. I'm going to group it. And actually, oops, I forgot to group the corner here. The blue and the red. Make sure you do not group your chute or that won't work very well. That's good. Okay, so we'll work a little bit more on this and then we'll jump over to make code and we'll talk about that a bit. So what we'll do here is we will use a bunch of boards to go backwards essentially. So to do that, let's bring out a regular square and I'm going to recolor the square because the red's kind of confusing for me. I'm going to do it a light blue so I can see it. So I'm just going to use this square and I'm going to use this square to arc this way. Now there's other ways to do this, but I think we're going to using a square is going to be a good way to understand the process. So lower the square first of all to the height of your jump. Now my jump I think my jump is 8 millimeters. Let me go back. Yeah, 8 in height. I'm just looking back on the chat. So the height of this jump right here is 8 millimeters. So I'm going to make the height of my cube 8 mils. And I'm just going to kind of like match it up with the jump. Now, one thing I didn't talk about, maybe I didn't talk about this at all in our last class, but you might have noticed your when you move, like when you move anything in Tinkercad, it moves in like 1 millimeter chunks. See how it's like it's snapping? Now, if you don't like that and you're like, I really want full control over this, you can come down to the bottom, way down here, and there's a little thing that says 1 millimeter on the bottom. If you click on that, it's way down on the bottom right. You can turn it off. So you can click off. And now when you move your, whatever you move, it moves in 0.01 millimeter chunks. So it's really smooth. So if you ever feel like you can't align things up perfectly, come down to the bottom and turn your snap grid to off. I do it all the time, actually, and I think I'm going to leave it off for this next section right here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to take this first little chunk. I'm going to make it a bit longer. How long am I going to make it? I'm going to go like 33. So I'm just going to type in 33. And then I want to start rotating it. So to rotate this piece, let's make a copy of it. So make a copy, pull a copy out. You can see there is our copy right there. It's exactly the same size, right? And then all you want to do with your copy, and I'm going to zoom in on it, is you want to rotate your copy very slightly. Actually, you know what? Not very slightly. Let's rotate it 22.5. So you can see the copy, I'm just like rotating it a little bit. Not tons, just a little bit. And then what we're going to do is you want to lower your copy a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my settings here, and I'm going to go back to 1 mil. And I'm going to lower this to 6 millimeters. So it's slightly rotated a little bit to the left, and it's lowered down to 6 mils. So that's kind of two things that I've done there. All right, so and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to make a copy, another copy, and actually you'll notice it creates a pattern. I'm not going to do the pattern part because that's a bit confusing. I'm just going to make another copy. I'm going to bring it out, and I'm going to rotate it. So I'm going to rotate this one. I'll rotate this one a little bit more. I'm going to rotate that one 45 degrees, and I'm going to lower it even more. So I'm going to go from 6 mils down to 4 mils. So there we go. So I have my top copy, 8, my second copy, 6, and my third copy, 4, 864. So let me type that down. So first one is 8 in height. Next one is 6 in height. And third one is 4 in height. So those are the 3 sizes of my design here. Now I'm going to keep going. Not going to stop. Let's see here. Let's do another one. So I'm going to duplicate it, bring it out, rotate it. This one I'm going to rotate completely sideways like that, and I'm going to lower it just a little bit. I'm going to put that one at 2. So I guess what I'm building here is kind of steps, right? Steps going down. Then I'm going to do another one. So I'm going to copy another one. It might make a pattern, but I'm going to redo it again. Bring it out. And this one, where's my rotation? Sometimes the rotations are a bit hard to find. There we go. I'm going to rotate it this one. And this one I'm going to put down to 1. 1. And then finally, I'm going to bring out another one. And this is my final one. And I'm going to rotate this one all the way straight. And that one's just going to go to, well, that one's going to 0.1. Okay. So I kind of have this like, what do you call it? Like a step design that kind of goes around this way and ends up down here. Okay. So I'm just going to, because that is pretty difficult. So I'm just going to, I'll just wait a second and see how everyone's doing with that. That's not an easy process because there's just one more kind of little piece we have to do here in order to make this, this one, I guess it's called a 180 work. So I'm going to come into the classroom. I'll just see if anyone needs any help. Let's see, classes, maker 2. Yeah, no worries. Here to help. Okay, Janine, yours ones are coming up here. Joel. Nice. Now, one thing I will say, if you need to extend your design over, so good, Ethan. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate it. You're rotating, we're going to rotate it the other direction. So what we're going to do, you're rotating it really well. We're just going to rotate it the other way. So we're going to rotate this direction. So perfect. And we're going to come over this way, grab this one, and then Ethan, same thing, rotate it in this direction. So let's see here. It's looking good. So if you can copy this one, and then you can bring it this way and keep rotating it, and then it'll rotate. You'll keep rotating it until you get it kind of straight there. Now, if you're feeling a bit frustrated with the size, you can always ungroup it, and you can be like ungroup again, and you can bust out the size of your design. You can be like, well, that's way too short. I need more space to work with, and you can always push your work farther out because you have control over everything. I'm going to bring yours over a bit, Ethan, and then I'm just going to highlight these guys. I'm going to group them and group them and group them. There we go. And then so Ethan, what you want to do now is take this one right here. You want to duplicate it. So there's another copy. Oh, you got it. You got it. And then rotate it now, Ethan. So grab this little arrow down here, the one I'm hovering over, and then rotate that block in this direction, this way. So grab that this little double arrow right here. I know it's kind of hard to see, and then rotate it in that direction. Just click and pull it, and it should rotate this cube that way. There you go. Perfect. That's awesome. Now, Ethan, what you want to do now is you just want to lower it a bit. So click on here and put that one at lower it to 2. So bring it down just a little bit more. And that will lower the step. There you go. That's awesome. Now do it again, Ethan, and rotate it even more. So you got, I think you got like one more to do, and you should be bang in line with the hole right here. Yeah, perfect. Take it, lower it down to 1, Ethan. So just lower the little white square there to 1, and then rotate it, Ethan, using that tool right there. Same thing, and click and pull, and that should rotate it right around. Remember, hit F on your keyboard or focus it if you're having any trouble. There you go. And move it forward, maybe just a little bit, like a little bit forward. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so you're doing good. All right, I'm gonna go back to mine. I wonder if anyone has theirs done yet. If you guessed what the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna create little walls around the edges of it. So when the balls hit the walls, they bounce and come back. So let me hold on. I'm gonna come back to mine, and I'll do it with mine because that'll be maybe the easiest to see. So what you want to do now is you want to create walls. So when it wraps around, it hits walls on the outside here and comes backwards. So to do that, it's really easy actually. Click on your first one, the first one here, duplicate it, just make a copy and push the inner copy in and pull the inner copy up. I know it sounds weird, but you make a wall, right? So you make basically a wall on the side. I'll do that one more time. Click on it, copy it. So there's a copy inside of it. Grab this black square, push it all the way over, like quite far, and then push it up, and that will give you a wall. It doesn't matter how high you make the wall. I'm just going to make mine like that high. And then what you want to do is you want to do the same for the second one. So reposition yourself, click on the second one, copy it. Actually, you know what? No, it's not going to be quite as easy as I thought because your second wall will be angled. It'll be really weird. So probably the best thing to do is grab your first wall, the first wall you made right here, the very, very first one, and then copy that and bring that out and rotate that to fit kind of along the second wall. So yeah, that was my I thought it'd be easier than it is, but that's okay. We're practicing and getting better at Tinkercad. So there you go. So there's your second wall. So click your second wall, duplicate it, and bring another wall out. And use this rotation tool and rotate it around. Remember, you can rotate it on the outside if you want to get it perfect. Just rotate it like that. And you can see I'm just kind of moving around my design now. Same thing with I'm on my fourth one now. So duplicate it, bring it out, and rotate it around. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Let's see, about like there. And there's my other rotation. You see I'm kind of making a wall here. And I'm going to do it again. It's a bit of a tedious process, but it's necessary for getting all the pieces right. So I'm going to bring that over here. You can see there's my other wall. And I'm going to do one more wall here. So this final wall, duplicate it, bring it around. And this final wall will look like that. Okay. And that will bring it all the way over to the edge. And we've got ourselves kind of a 180. My 180 is really tight. Like it's quite it might have a little trouble on the edge right here because it might hit here and then just bounce off. I don't know. I'm guessing. I'm guessing that I might have to make this part wrap a little bit better, but whatever. I'll leave it this way for now. So I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to see how everyone's doing here. So let's come back to the classes here, designs. And looks like you guys are doing good. Nice. All right, perfect. So what we'll do here, Ethan, is you want to grab this wall. So you want to grab it and copy it. And make sure you grab on the yellow, pull it out. And I'm just gonna help you rotate this here a bit. And you just want to rotate it and get it kind of lined up with the other wall like that. I'm gonna move this over and move this up. So I'll help you out with this part here. So click this one now and duplicate it. Bring this one out, and you can do the same thing. So you rotate it and kind of put it into place like that. See, it's kind of making this wall rotation. Now, with this one, I might want to, I think I made it too fast. I'm going to actually take these two, and I'm going to rotate them out a little bit farther with my design. So just don't mind me here. I'm just going to maybe do this way. That might be more appropriate to make it curve a little bit. And same thing here, just going to duplicate this one, bring it out, and then Ethan, I'll let you do the last couple ones. So you just want to click on this, duplicate it, and put one here, and then put one here, and you should have a nice kind of rounded design there. We'll see if this works. We'll try our best. So I'm going to quickly come back to mine. And I think I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to have to extend mine like I did with Ethan's there. I think my design might be too tight. So I'm going to bring this one out, bring this one over. And I just think my design is a little bit too harsh on that corner. So I'm going to bring my design out a bit. And here, rather than go straight here, I'm going to rotate this out a little bit more, which gives me a tiny bit more breathing room to get the ball to rotate. So like I said, this is a bit of a finesse. Getting this part perfect isn't easy. And then I think I'll just put one more copy. I'll bring this out and I'll rotate this back. There we go. Okay. Oh, Joel came out and came in. Okay. All right. So, and then what you can do here is yeah, you can kind of group it all together. So I'm going to group this all together. Now you want to make sure you get everything except for your chute. Do not grab your chute because we want to be able to move that around. So I'm going to group everything. It's going to turn blue except for this part. I'll group that too. So I've got kind of a red piece right here. And I'm going to see if this actually works. I don't know if I've made this perfect yet. So let's see if I've got my 180 set up. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to make it static. And then I'm going to click the play button here. So let's see. Oof. Mine's pretty horrible. It doesn't even remotely go around in a corner. So let's see here. What could I alter to help that out? Well, what I could do, I'm supposing, is I could reset. I could take this piece and I could put it like way closer up. And I could rotate it back a bit like that. So let's see if this helps at all. I'll try and run it that way. That's better. Still, oh my goodness. Oh, oh, I got so lucky. Okay, so that was honestly just pure luck. So all I did is I just moved my chute farther up my design and put it high up here. So yeah, I just got lucky with that, I guess, this time. So let me lower this down. And I'm gonna try to run that one more time. There's no way that's gonna happen twice. Or is it? Oh, twice. I love it. So yeah, there's my 180. I mean, it's not an amazing 180 or anything, but it is a 180 on my design. So not bad. So yeah, I'll let you play around with that. I think what we'll do now is my wrist is starting to ache from so much 3D design. So I'd like to go into a little bit of make code here. So let me just jump out. What we'll do now is I'm going to jump out and we're going to head into the coding part. So at any time, when we're done here, you can obviously go back into Tinkercad and mess around with your design to get your ball to go into the hole. It's quite satisfying actually when it does go in. I just got lucky and mine went in right away. But let's leave our design here for a minute because we've been working on it for about an hour and a bit straight. And I want you to come into Microbit. So let's just, before I go in there, let's just guide you through the process. So make code Microbit is the name of the website that we go to with the new tab there. And if you recall, it's the first hit on the very top. So click on the first hit. Once that hit opens up, you'll see it might have some of your stuff from last time that we worked on. Also, if you're not on the same computer, you can click the sign in button in the top right corner up here. And I am actually going to sign into my district account. So I'm going to click continue with Microsoft. You might use Google. I'm going to use Microsoft for mine. And mine automatically signs me in because all my passwords are all set up. So there we go. Make sure you sign in. It just makes it easier for like if you change computers or go somewhere else or whatever. You just want to make sure that you use this sign in option because it's a little bit easier that way. So you have your microbit. Make sure your microbit is facing forward and then pushed into the top of your breakout board. So it's snapped together and it should snap in and be snug like that facing this direction. As we talked about last time, we have the pins along the bottom that run along here. Pin number, oops, I'm doing this backwards. Pin 1 through 16 sit across the bottom, okay? So once we've got that, grab your USB cord. I have a white one here. Yours might be black. Actually, I'm not sure it's black or white. Depends on what you got in your package. And then you just want to take the micro end, which is the tiny little baby end that looks like this. And then you want to plug that into the top of your microbit like that, okay? Just so it goes in. And then the other end of your USB cord goes into your laptop. And I'm going to try and run mine in now. Mine is a bit funky because it's got USB-Cs, so we'll see if mine plays nice with me or not. Okay, hold on. It's giving me some warnings. Good. All right, so sorry, I'm holding this upside down. So it should come in like this. Now, if yours is starting up for the first time, it might make some noise or something like that. Mine is an umbrella on the front of it. You'll know it's on because there's a little red light in the back and there's a little orange light, and those will be on, ready to go. Okay, so for our first piece of hardware, let's grab the servo. So the servo, this little guy right here with the horn on the top, and I don't think you have a screw in the top of yours, probably not. What you want to do is you want to take the servo, and I'll hold this up as close as I can. I know it's a bit grainy. And you want the servo to plug into pin, sorry, I'm doing this the wrong way. My red light on here is too bright, so it's kind of washing it out. There is a pin number 1 on the side. You can see way over here, there's pin number 1 right there. So there's pin number 1 and pin number 2. So you want to grab your servo, and your servo has an orange, a red, and a brown. You want to make sure that the orange is plugged in to the top, the red is in the middle, and the brown is on the bottom. Okay, that means essentially what that means, and hopefully mine is a little hard to see, but that means that the ground is on the bottom, the voltage is in the middle, and the data, which is the orange one, which is the code, is on the top. So that's on pin number 1. And you don't want to do it the other way around because nothing will work. Okay, so let's see if we can get this to work. We'll start with a servo and then work our way up. So now I'll come back. All right, so what we're going to do is I want you to click on New Project right here, and we're going to call this project Servo. So servo, let's call it Servo Test. This is just going to make sure that our servo is actually working. Okay, so click Create and give it a second to run and start up. Now, the forever block, I don't really like it very much because it just runs things for too long. So I'm going to trash the forever block by dumping it into the side here. A little trash can will appear. And then the start block here, we're going to use this. Now, I think I might have mentioned this last time. Whenever we start our microbit, we always start it with an image, so we know that our code is actually working. So click on Basic. So click on Basic right here, and then grab a show icon, put it in, and choose the icon that you like. Anything you like. I'm going to choose the dinosaur, or maybe it's a camel. I have no idea. Dinosaur or camel. All right, so you'll notice that the camel appears on the microbit here. So what we want to do is we want the camel, or mine's the camel, I don't know what yours is, to appear on our real microbit. So go down to the bottom. There is 3 dots right here on the very bottom. Click on them. And mine actually says disconnect. Now, yours will say connect. I'm assuming yours says connect. So click on it. And when you click on it, it will ask you, the first thing it will say is your microbit connected to your computer? You click, yes, it is connected to my computer. And then it will say, okay, now you need to actually connect it. And click it again, and a white window will appear here. And it will have your microbit on the very, very top up here. You want to click the microbit. It'll go blue, like a blue kind of line across it, and then click connect. So once you do that and you click back on these 3 dots, rather than say connect anymore, this will now say disconnect, which means that your microbit is connected. I know it sounds kind of backwards and weird, but that's how it is. So once you've done that, just click on the download button. Click download, and it'll think for a second, and then look at your microbit, and your image should appear on your microbit, which is pretty cool, right? So that is our virtual to real. So that is microcontrollers and how they work essentially, right? We call it a hello world. So it's like starting out with something. All right, so next up, and I think we did this a little bit last time. Let's get our image. Let's get our image maybe animating a little bit. So what I want you to do, I want you to drag the camel or whatever it is. I want you to trash it. So get rid of it. So get rid of the camel. And I think, did we do this last time? Did we do our name? I can't remember. We did. Okay, let's just do it again, just to reiterate. So grab where it says show LEDs, and put it in, and then just do your name real quick. So I'm going to do N. My first name is Nate. I'm going to click on Basic, I'm going to come all the way down to the pause, and I'll put a pause in. So it's going to go N, pause, and then I'm going to create another one. And this one's just going to be A, real quick. Actually, my A is kind of weird. Hold on. I need to get better at this. There's my A. So N, A, and I'm going to pause. And then I'm going to do it again. T, 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 N, A, T. And I'm going to duplicate. And I'm going to do the last one. So there's my E. So E right there. And I'm going to pause again. So I'm going to back out so you can see this. I'll back out one more time. So NATE, and it only does it once, right? It says NATE once, and I can refresh it, and it says NATE again. So it only does it once though, which is a bit boring, but you know we got to start somewhere. So so NATE, NATE, NATE. Now, if your microbit is connected, which it should be, if you click on this and it still says disconnect, you can click download, and it should push that code out to your microbit. And yeah, if I look, I just looked at my microbit. Hold on, I'll flip mine around. There we go. So mine says my name, or a little badge that says my name. Okay. All right. So as we are working on that part, that's kind of just our basic animation right there. I'm just going to talk very briefly about kind of the next steps as we work through what we want to do next. So essentially what I want my microbit to do, I'm thinking here kind of ahead, is I want it to say my name, and then I want it to set my servo to 0. Like set my servo so it's like 0. And then when I press a button, I want my microbit to move to 180 degrees. And then when I press another button, I want my microbit to move back to 0 degrees. So to say that one more time, on start, I want it to be 0, like start at 0. When I press the A button, I want it to move to 180. And when I press the B button, I want it to move back to 0. So I have like control over the microbit. So to get control over the microbit, what we're going to do is I'm going to come down to the bottom of my name, like the very last piece of code on my name. And I'm going to come down on my library. These are called libraries. These are libraries with code in them. There's one called extensions right here. It's like a plus sign. It has advanced below it. Click on extensions, and 1, 2, 3 extensions in, there's a servo extension. There are so many extensions, it's ridiculous. Like, look, you can build robots and like all kinds of crazy stuff. We're going to start with a servo. So click on that, and it'll look like nothing happens. But you'll notice right here, there's a servo library. You've added a servo library to your code library right here. So what you want to do now is click on servo, and under servo, there is a positional, it says positional on it right here. And under that, it says set servo P1 angle to 90. Drag that out. I guess you don't have to put it on the bottom of your code. You can put it on the top of your code. Actually, it doesn't matter where you put it. And if you remember, a couple things happen here. A servo now attaches to your microbit. You can see there's a virtual servo attached to your microbit. The problem is our servo is attached to pin 0. We want, if you recall your breakout board, this servo is attached to pin number 1, not pin 0. So we want to change it from pin 0 to pin 1 because that's the pin we're using for our servo. Once you've got that, click on the 90 and change it to 0. So there you go. Look down here. So the virtual microbit has now changed to 0 degrees on pin 1, and it's actually changed the pin on the virtual microbit on the side. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to click on input. Input is basically the buttons on your microbit, button A and button B. If you look at your microbit, it has 2 buttons you can press on it, the actual hardware. Grab on button A pressed and just bring it out. I'll zoom in on it so you can see it a little bit closer. And let's do a picture and a servo move. So click on basic under show icon. Grab it, put it up here, put an icon that you like. I'm going to choose I guess this is something with its tongue out. So grab that, then come back over here to your servo, this part right here. right click it and duplicate it. So duplicate it, bring it in, and change the angle from 0 to 180. Push it all the way up. Don't change the pin because we want to keep it on the same pin. So once we've got that set up, now once you've got that code done, take this entire piece of code, right click it and duplicate it, and it will make an exact copy of the code. Now, the problem is the copy of the code is gray. Gray is ghost code. It won't work. But if we change it from A to B, it will work. If let's change the icon to like I don't know what that is, meh. And then let's change our angle to 0. So essentially, to talk about how our code's working here, I set the servo to 0. I run my name. When I press the A button, and I can do it virtually, it sets it to 180. It does the tongue out face. And when I push the B button, it sets it to, all right, then download it. So download it. And I'm just going to look at mine. Should take a second to download. Mine's taking a really long time to download for some reason. And once it downloads on your microbit, when you press the A button, it should move the servo to 180. And when you press the B button, it should move the servo back to 0. For some reason, mine is frozen. But I'm just going to, you can always reload your screen space here if you're getting weird kind of, it can act a bit strange sometimes. Mine says paired already, so. Okay, and then on your microbit, press your A button or your B button on the actual physical microbit, and then once you download it, it should move the servo backwards and forwards. So just press the actual button on the front of the microbit. It says A on it. Yeah, right on the front. Yeah, this is A and B. They're like little tiny black buttons on the front of the microbit. So if you look at your virtual microbit, there's an A button right here and a B button right there. Yeah. And you press the B button and it should move the servo back. What we'll do next time is we'll work on our lights, our light set, which is, if I can show you, this one right here. So this is the strip. So this strip is called what is it called? A WS2428 strip. So each one of these lights are individually addressable. So you can control each light individually. So for example, you could have the servo turn and you could have a light like rainbow light go across here, or all kinds of interesting stuff like that. So we'll talk more about this little hardware piece next time. But I like Tinkercad, but I also do love the hardware that you can actually hold in your hand and like use it. And if you have a 3D printer, you can start attaching all of these things together and making stuff. So it goes and it goes. It goes and it goes. So thanks everyone for coming, and yeah, we'll have some more fun next time. Have a great night.